Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video, and welcome to the craziest race I will ever have inside F125. Yes, I've had to do a special intro for this one because no matter what I call this video, it's probably going to look like clickbait, but I promise you, sit down, grab a drink, grab a snack. This is going to be the wildest Formula 1 race you see inside F125. I'm going to head back to the normal intro now, but yeah, I had to do an extra one just because I've finished recording and it's utterly insane. Yes, we return this weekend here at Marina Bay for the Singapore Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live at the end of last week, go back, check it out. Finally, I won another race inside this game. Yes, just my second ever win inside this career mode, of course. We won Monaco back in Season 1, but ultimately with more upgrades coming onto the car, we finally got win number 2. And after a season of, how many podiums? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 podiums so far from the opening 12 Grand Prix, we got our 7th. With that dub. It means Max Verstappen currently has a 13-point lead at the top of the championship ahead of Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris still definitely in that fight as well, but could we get to Qatar still with a mathematical shot at the crown? That is now the goal as we head into these final few races. Having a look at the Constructors' Championship as well, some renewed hope that we might just catch McLaren by the end of the season as well. Admittedly, we've still got 38 points to try and close back up, but I dare to believe inside F125 as well. Massively helped, of course, by the fact that now we're finally able to get some upgrades on the car. We have a pretty competitive package once again. We have rocketed up to 3rd best overall now, theoretically, inside this series as well. 93 upgrades on Alex Albon's car, 90 on Isaac Hadjar's. Now, I would normally at this point prioritise Hadjar's upgrades over Albon's, but the 3 that Alex has are just durability upgrades, so they don't make the car any quicker at this stage of the campaign. And that's also meant that other drivers now are really sniffing around towards the end of the season as well. If we take a look over in the drivers tab, I want to say, we've got Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri very interested in signing up to the team as well. As you can see, Oscar Piastri has actually signed a contract with us ready for next season. Max Verstappen, we are very, you see his perception of the team as well, very highly ranked at the moment. So we could end up with a bit of a super team as we head into Season 4. Only time will tell. Of course, if you're new around here though, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We are mighty close to 150,000 subscribers on the channel as well at the moment. Also, if you want early access to all of these videos, you can click the join button down below for just £1 a month. And last but not least, I'm trying to live stream more over on my Twitch channel. We want to hit 10k over there by the end of the year as well. So yeah, there'll be a link in the description. Make sure you drop us a follow. But yeah, Singapore though, one of my personal favourites on F125. Could we get back-to-back victories?
As night falls in Singapore, the track starts to warm up, and it'll be red hot by the time we find out who's on pole for tomorrow's race. Time to set the grid then. Welcome along to qualifying here in Singapore.
Well, over the course of this season, lap records have been getting obliterated around so many of our world-famous venues, and I expect Singapore to be another one this weekend. Already, I believe Lando Norris has dipped down into the 1 minute 25s. I mean, that 1 minute 25 around Marina Bay, it almost beggars belief, doesn't it, as to just how ludicrously fast these cars are now inside this game. I genuinely think over the course of an entire lap, I'm trying to rack my brain back to like F121 and that kind of thing as to just how quick the cars were there. But I think these ones are the quickest cars we've ever had inside an F1 cycle. Maybe F1 2020, when you maxed out a My Team car and that, they were a little bit quicker still. But these are pretty unbelievable. Of course, we really do seem to find ourselves using Q1 and Q2 now as a bit of a warm-up. Ready for Q3 there. Made a few little mistakes on this run, but apparently, once again, this Cadillac seems to be really racy on this season. I'm really hoping as well, obviously, we can see our teammate bag lots of useful points as well. Is that the final corner? Get the run back around towards the start-finish line. They're easy flat through that final turn. 25.5. We instantly go to the top of the board. Well, there we go then. By the end of Q1, Alex Albon's picked up a 5-place grid penalty. What on earth has our teammate done then during that? Apparently, he had a collision with Leclerc at some point in that session, so really no idea what happened in that situation. Williams, a bit disappointing from them towards the end of the season. I understand this is not going to be their best track in the world anyway, but Franco Colapinto out alongside Lance Stroll, both of the Audis and both of the V-Carbs. But yeah, that's quite a surprise there, seeing Gasly struggle so much as well. Have kind of Cadillac, and obviously, especially now with Albon starting to perform, is it looking like, again, we've just got 5 top teams in this sport? Once again then, as we head out into Q2, the benchmark is actually this time around Alexander Albon on a 125.9. Obviously, everybody behind me seemed to be very, very close in that Q1. But now I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get closer and closer to the 1-minute 24s. I'm not worried about that, Mark, and why are you telling me that through the first couple of corners? Like I said, I reckon a 124 is going to be possible here. But we will likely see the AI as well ramp their pace up by the time we get into Q3. So we need to obviously do the same. Purple again through Sector 1, and this time around we don't run wide at the end of the Raffles Boulevard.
Are you alright? Engine off, engine off.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Our perfect record of Q3. Oh, well, that's not the button I wanted to press either, so we don't even get to watch it back. I'm such a moron. Obviously, like I said, we made it into Q3 every single session this year, apart from Spa, where we definitely would have, but out in Q2, here in Singapore, that inside wall always catches you out if you're not careful, and it has claimed a Cadillac-shaped victim today. Well, there we go then. Carlos Sainz down to a 125.3 by the end of Q2, so it was going to be very, very interesting to see who could deliver the pace by the end of qualifying. But Verstappen, Norris, and Charles Leclerc all make it through and into Q3. Oscar Piastri, Esteban Ocon, and myself, they're big, heavy hitters that you would expect to make it into that final session. But we've got our work cut out as we head into the Singapore GP. I mean, like I said, we need to do really well here to keep our championship hopes alive. Maybe this is where they all get undone.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. And here's our track, 4.94 kilometers long, and overtaking chances into the first corner, into turn 14 at the end of the Esplanade, and now into turn 16 in the newly reprofiled sector that we first ran on in 2023. Still though, it's punishing and tough on the brakes, and the heat and humidity will take an effect on our drivers. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Tsunoda, Carlos Sainz, and Russell, Gasly, Lawson, Antonelli, and Oscar Piastri, Albon, Crawford, Esteban Ocon, and Behrman, Doohan, Hadjar, Franco Colapinto, and Lance Stroll, Bortoletto, Aaron, O'Sullivan, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
You're going to have to push early on if you want to have any chance of beating your results from last race. Good luck.
Well, I've got no idea how we're going to beat our result from last weekend because we did win in Baku. Clearly, Mark just, where I've finished like second or third so many times in this game, clearly he doesn't believe I can actually win races. But here tonight, I'm not optimistic we're going to bag another one. Wet to dry and back to wet again here in Singapore. This is going to be a race of chaos. Strategy, I'm sure, will come into it. We might see some safety cars as well, but let's just get into it here at Marina Bay. That heavy rain falling all around the circuit is 5 red lights, though. Oh, and no hold at all. clearly they want to get this race underway, and I've actually responded fairly well in the end as Doohan, immediately will try and cover me off on the run in towards turn 1. I almost put myself in the pit wall there. There's a little bit of contact with Franco Colapinto in through those first couple of corners. We will dive it back down the inside of the Australian there and use the curb to pivot us around the exit of the corner there. I believe Piastri, Crawford and Alex Albon temporarily 3 wide just in front, but they seem to have sorted that out. And luckily for Alexander Albon, I think he has been one of the big winners in all of that. Get the power down around the outside of Doohan as we make our way out onto the Raffles Boulevard. You can see Behrman trying to apply some pressure to Esteban Ocon as well. This is tricky stuff early on there, as we'll get down the inside of one Alpine, so we'll go down the inside of the other one at the very next corner there. Kick the back end out ever so slightly just to make sure Ollie Behrman backs out of the spot. I did really and ah about whether to start this race on intermediates like we did back in Belgium, but I don't think it's going to be worth it today. So yeah, obviously we'll get the intermediate set up ready to go because this circuit is meant to dry out.
The rain looks like it's going to be getting much lighter over the next 10 to 15 minutes. There should be more grip, but don't expect a dry track yet. Inters and wets will probably have very similar pace at the moment.
Okay, so that still is a bit of a glitch inside F125. For some reason they assume that the intermediate has much more grip than it actually does. So wet tyres are definitely the one to be on early on. But it will not be long before we see a switch to intermediates in this race. Top 3 in the World Championship, your top 3 on the grid. Of course, in reverse top 3 order overall. So Lando Norris, he would love a win tonight. And he has held on to the lead on lap 1. Okay then, so yeah, team think the rain is meant to stop pretty soon. Could we try and go for a big gamble? Could I try and just stay on the full wets until we get to the dry period? Obviously, we know just how difficult it would be to make places up round here, and we know, of course, that if you stay off of the dry line, there isn't much grip around these circuits, so maybe the wet tyres could work. You know, I want to try and stay in the championship fight as long as we can, but if we could learn and get some intel ready for next season, that could be rather useful. Hopefully, of course, Season 4. That'll be where we really try and punch for the crown.
Better than it was a few minutes ago. If we could just move a bit more of that standing water, we might be able to go on to the intermediates.
I mean, it's either we dive in now and move to intermediates, or we try and gamble it and stay out until the dry period. I think you've got to be on the right tyre at the right time. So I think we're going to dive in onto inters at the end of this lap, see if we can get an undercut. So the team saying inters? Yeah, the team are now saying intermediates. So will we see everybody else in? I'm sure we will. What do you do if you're a Charles Leclerc running in P2 in this race, especially if you think your teammate Lando Norris is going to peel into the pit lane? Norris is in, Leclerc opts to stay out there. So Verstappen will peel in. That first McLaren as well will dive into the pit lane. So yeah, a lot of cars trying to make the switch. I assume Albon, will peel into the pit lane as well then. So a lot of cars making their way into the pit lane at the end of lap 4. We're going to stay out there as well as a handful of others. So a lot of teams have opted to double stack. Crawford now running up in the podium places. But Charles Leclerc 15 seconds up the road. I bet the good thing is for us, though, is of course that we've got a huge undercut on the leaders. If I do want to gamble it, and even better than that, Nico Hülkenberg has come out ahead of Lando. He will be stuck behind that Sauber, at least for a little while. Well, there we go then, Charles Leclerc diving into the pit lane. I'm sure we're going to see Jack Crawford do the same then, so we are going to be the only driver left out here on the intermediate. It just makes me wonder, had we opted to start on these, could we have been in this same position, but with a much clearer advantage?
Consider changing mode on your MFD, or lift a little with gentle braking into corners to recharge it.
Well, what I really want now is basically just the rain to stop, as Leclerc's going to get jumped by Verstappen then. That's not too surprising. But you will still re-emerge in P4. Gap to Lando, 11 seconds. But I would assume those guys are going to be, at least a second a lap faster than me. Well, I was hoping the AI were going to be, a second, maybe 2 seconds a lap faster. The real number, 4. Yeah, this maybe is a bit of a gamble too far for us at the moment.
19.5 seconds.
Team reckon we got about 5 more minutes of this rain though, so it should be coming to an end pretty soon. I'm just not sure I'm going to be able to hold up the AI until that point. I guess it kind of also depends on how many of them get by me, because of course as long as we get up into the points, it's still going to be a net gain in this race. I'm kind of just hoping we're ahead of Albon, but yeah, trying to use a bit more of the wet line where I can. But there's only so much you can do with it. Look at that, trying to get off the racing line. But of course, yeah, it just makes braking a lot more difficult. Oh, I think we are already burning out our tyres markers. Why is the dry line so wide? Normally, the AI are on tram tracks around this circuit, but it seems more like it's bus tracks or... I'm trying to think of another vehicle that's really, really wide. Someone I'm sure can let me know down in the comments below there. But Lando Norris now right up my trumpet, so I don't think it's going to be long before the Ferrari man tries to find a way around us. Luckily, of course, Singapore, one of the more difficult circuits to make a move. But especially when you're running, 3-4 seconds a lap faster, might be more difficult. Probably won't be impossible as we got yellows out. We got a red flag! Norris, what's he done? I cannot believe it. Lando Norris out of the Grand Prix. I can't have a look at it because we've got a red flag. So I'm going to move to post-race Matt, who can hopefully take a look. Well, let's ride on board then with Lando Norris as we make our way down in through Sector 2 there. You can see just gets a little bit off the line through the first part, nudges the curb, and then through the exit of the corner, just gets a bit of a slide and keeps his foot in. What on earth was Lando Norris thinking? And I mean, for him, especially in the World Championship right now, this could be an absolute disaster. Looks like Pierre Gasly there almost got caught up behind him over the Anderson Bridge. But drama for Lando Norris, who was our first retirement of the day. Well, the timing of that then could not be more perfect for us in this Grand Prix. Finally, a bit of luck goes my way, and look at that. The team as well don't think it's going to rain again before the end of the afternoon, so we're going to try and gamble it on a set of hard compound tyres here and see how far we can take them. 21 laps doesn't seem impossible, but out of nowhere we are up in P1. 5 red lights are back on. It's lights out, and away we go then. There is still a little bit of water around the circuit as Verstappen does not get off to a particularly good start in towards turn 1 there. We will completely chop over his nose and make sure that we hang on to that lead through the first couple of corners. Leclerc now trying to as well apply pressure, but Gasly moves up into P3, so brilliant job done by him as we will try and lead the way out onto the Raffles Boulevard. I mean, Kimi Antonelli's up to P5 in this Grand Prix, so such a crazy turnaround seemingly out of nowhere. But looks like, yeah, Verstappen and Leclerc have had the same idea as me. They want to try and take their tyres to the end. I just cannot believe how lucky we have been inside this game. That never happens. Oh, we've got yellows, we've got yellows. Someone else seems to be slowing down there. That's McLaren. Oh, that gives us a helping hand in the Constructors' Championship as well then. So Lando Norris already out of this Grand Prix. And then one of the drivers from his former team as well looks to be falling to the wayside. I believe that's Sonoda, but I could be wrong. We'll get confirmation in just a second there, as we've still got to be careful about Verstappen trying to get a run on me down the Raffles Boulevard. No, it is Lando's former teammate, Carlos Sainz, out!
Virtual safety car. Reduce speed immediately and keep a positive delta.
Oh, I thought there that Verstappen had timed that perfectly, getting around me, but a VSC has been called and the Dutchman was told to give the place back up again. Just when we're about to lose the Grand Prix in this race, something comes to save us. Well, if the AI do all need to pit again before the end, I think there's no harm in trying to bunch up the pack a bit under this VSC there. 5 seconds under the delta time at the moment. I'm sure when it says VSC will be coming in, we will try to absolutely gun it. But yeah, I don't think any of the AI are going to try and take this as an opportunity to pit.
Maintain positive delta until the green flags.
Green flags out then once again there, as I think Albon got a bit caught out through those final couple of corners by me trying to bolt it. But if we could suddenly leave Verstappen under pressure from Pierre Gasly, that would work out fantastically. Don't think we're quite going to get the Dutchman out of the DRS range before we head out onto the Raffles Boulevard. Apparently I'm not at all. Has got to try and get the car going again. Gasly will make it through. And someone's ran into the back of us, and we've got another red flag.
Keep the delta positive, and let's have you straight into the pit lane, please.
Second time in 3 Grand Prix I've made a mistake and someone's crashed into us, And again, I'm going to hand it over to post-race Matt because 2 red flags in this Grand Prix. Singapore is carnage. Well, this was the view then from Alex Albon's POV, running very, very well in the second car after his best result of the season last weekend. You can see we made the mistake in front, and Albon goes for a barrel roll. What on earth is that? The physics on F125 can be utterly hilarious. I think the Haas car of Antonelli also loses a wheel. So we have got 2 cars upside down, and then Antonelli gets collected by the Red Bull as well. This race is chaos. Well, obviously, everybody now getting to obviously take a new fresh set of tyres. So for the likes of Gasly, this will be a huge win because it'll mean he won't have to pit again in this Grand Prix. I think the hards even should make it safely through towards the end. But we're going to have the line up P5. Gasly and the Williams on the pole. It is 5 red lights. And it is lights out for the 3rd time tonight here at Marina Bay. This time around, we haven't done a particularly good launch. Is Esteban Ocon trying to have a look around my outside there? Luckily, we will find a bit of breathing room as Leclerc knows he needs to try and find a way around Verstappen nice and early. Liam Lawson there in the Aston Martin Honda.
Clean passes only. We don't want a penalty.
Not too sure what accident they're referring to, unless it was the one prior to the safety car. But Verstappen has held on from Charles Leclerc this time round. But Gasly absolutely streaking away, trying to claim his 2nd ever Formula 1 Grand Prix victory. Let's not forget Williams. They haven't won a race since Spain 2012. So I guess in this hypothetical universe, it has been 16 years since Williams last took a dub.
Rain is forecast in just over 10 minutes' time. Rain
Oh no. Oh, so because of that 2nd red flag, we've got another thunderstorm on the horizon as well this evening. So how could that affect things in kind of the final 5 laps or so? I mean, Singapore this weekend has been utter chaos up to this point, and we are far from home. Well, I think if we don't find a way around Leclerc, Verstappen is going to find a way around Pierre Gasly pretty quickly in this Grand Prix. The Red Bull man, he doesn't care about other teams' history. He doesn't care about fairy tale Grand Prix victory. Verstappen just wants to win to try and make him a 5-time Formula 1 World Champion in this hypothetical universe there. Leclerc, I see really struggling over the end of the Anderson Bridge, and we will get right around the outside. No idea how we've done that, but we have got Verstappen then right back in my sights immediately. Well, unless we can get a run on Max Verstappen quite soon, I think it's a matter of when rather than if he finds a way around Pierre Gasly. Lap 22 of 31 of this Singapore Grand Prix, and at the moment the Dutchman is again just stalking his prey, working out where Pierre is vulnerable, trying to charge up his own battery pack. And I mean, look how good a run we can get off that corner, but it is still nothing in comparison to the Dutchman there. Tries to have a look to the inside. Gasly gets the elbows out, but Verstappen says thank you very much through the exit of the corner.
But it is coming, so be careful.
So we will immediately dive it down the inside of Gasly as well then, because the door opened up. Team believe the rain is definitely still going to arrive by the end, but can Verstappen now pull away for an unlikely victory? He hasn't been the fastest car throughout a lot of this event, but he has always put himself in the right place at the right time. Well, I really don't want to leave this to the last second. If we can get an opportunity to get past Max, and I'm going to take it at any possible time in this Grand Prix there. You can see how much we're sending it through those final couple of corners.
Okay,
let's have another weather update.
Rain is imminent. Be careful out there. Dry is definitely
no.
the fastest tyre at the moment.
Oh, that's not good. Is that the rain? Oh, I thought that might have been the rain just for a brief moment, but I think it's just obviously all the lights around this circuit. So we want to try and get past Max if I can, whilst we still have DRS before the rain arrives in this Grand Prix. Can we get a run on the Dutchman, who's going to immediately try and swing defensive, but he doesn't swing defensive enough. To the inside we will go, get the elbows out, and Verstappen maybe taken by surprise, maybe not expecting us to be that committed so soon, but we are down the inside and back into the lead of the Grand Prix again. This race, so many twists and turns. Will we get any more? Oh, there we go. There's the rain. 5 laps remaining then, so it has rolled into the circuit quicker than what the team originally thought it would. And that is going to make things very, very tricky.
The conditions, the track's getting wetter. Recommend you stay out for now, though. We'll be much slower if we move on to inters this early.
Yeah, we might be a lot slower, but obviously very, very quickly this track will transition towards the intermediates as well. So we've kind of got to be careful. We've got to keep an eye out on what Verstappen does, keep an eye out on what Leclerc does. But we know, again, this will be where the AI come into their prime. Will this race take another turn before the end? I've got to avoid the walls. You still believe the dries are going to be the way to go, but if it starts raining rather heavily, which already it's beginning to feel like it could do, we could still have to see another pit stop switch as well. That is scary. Verstappen stays out, though. I think everybody's going to have to stay out at least one more. Oh, what? Now the team is saying it's not ready for intermediates just yet. One of the Kick Saubers, sorry, the Sauber Audi car even, I should say, has peeled into the pit lane, but I just do not think there's enough grip on this circuit. Verstappen is starting to struggle as well, though, at the moment. I don't want him to kind of go for an undercut on me. I think we've still got a pit at the end of this lap. I think it's ready to make the call, because already we're going to be, you know, close to 10 seconds a lap slower after not too long here. I mean, if the AI try and stay out to the end, then they might find themselves in a high-risk, high-reward scenario. But into the pit lane we will go. Oh, Verstappen's in, Leclerc's in, so I think we have made the right choice by diving into the pit lane then. Of course, the AI have already made a pit stop in this Grand Prix, but this is my first time down through the pit lane. As will anybody opt to stay out there? I don't think anybody is by the looks of it. So, yeah, nobody wants to gamble it, and that is fantastic news. That's not...
Moving the right front wheel. I know it's not ideal, but let's try and put it behind us now and get back into this race.
That is so close to getting jumped by Verstappen in the pit lane. We just, only just, keep the car right ahead of him. As limping back out onto the circuit we go there. The team, I mean, that could be the difference between a World Championship or not. You never know what might happen between now and the end of the campaign. But Verstappen immediately on it. These are the conditions he thrives in. When the unknown, when the chips are down, you know the Dutchman is going to fly.
Okay.
Oh, Verstappen, I mean, look at that. The run he was able to get out of that final corner. Straight down the inside again. But, I mean, Leclerc now is right with us both as well as we try and wind our way through turn 1 and turn 2. Running very wide there as Verstappen gets squirrely on the exit as well. Surely we've got to try and send it, which we have, but way too aggressive in to the next corner there. And Verstappen, Leclerc, and Pierre Gasly will all make it through. Is this our World Championship hopes going down the drain with just a couple of laps to go here in Singapore? I mean, I'm well aware of that, Mark. We were the one that made the mistake that handed it to him. Well, one more lap to go then. I think Verstappen, he might look pretty safe towards the end of this Grand Prix. An audacious move down at turn 1. Got squirrely on the exit, but ultimately, for him, that might be what wins him this race rather than costs him. Because it just gave me the belief that we could get back down the inside, but never was going to get the car slowed down on such a narrow angle in towards that first corner. This race here in Marina Bay has seen absolutely everything. 2 red flags, a VSC, dry, wet to dry and back to wet again in terms of the strategy as well. Everything has happened here in Marina Bay tonight, but more importantly than anything else, it looks like we are going to be out of the World Championship hunt, if I'm not mistaken. Lando Norris is basically going to be out of it as well after his mistake earlier on in the GP. Carnage, absolute carnage here in Singapore. And of course, next time out we'll be out in Vegas, and that Grand Prix as well usually promises to be absolute fireworks as well. For Verstappen though, this is a critical win late on in the campaign. He dominated the early stages of this World Championship, but that Red Bull car, as we've seen so many times on this game, it's good throughout the first half of a season and then absolutely collapses. Ferrari normally pick up the pieces. Charles Leclerc normally picks up the pieces, but it doesn't look like he's going to get a chance to tonight. Verstappen winds his way in towards the final few corners of the Singapore Grand Prix. The Dutchman is going to be back on top this weekend in Formula 1, right when he needs it. A clutch performance to potentially win himself a 5th World Championship. Verstappen has done it, and as we make our way through the final couple of corners, I believe with that, mathematically, our World Championship hopes are dead in the water.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
Another great victory to add to the list. Cool, calm, and consistent does it.
We had drama from start to finish, but in the end, there was only ever one that could take that top spot. But there can only be one on the top step. Your number one, Max Verstappen.
Well, there we are then, from third on the grid. Max Verstappen on a 4-stop strategy. He will claim victory here in Singapore. Charles Leclerc less than a second behind. But I must admit, it is good to see Williams and Pierre Gasly back on a Formula 1 podium. We come through for fourth, just ahead of George Russell. Esteban Ocon, Lawson, Piastri, Tsunoda, and Franco Colapinto round out your top 10. So a decent recovery drive by the Argentinian to make sure that both Williams bag some points. Albon, Antonelli, Sainz, and Lando Norris all failing to see the checkered flag this weekend in what has been a chaotic GP. I'm a little bit scared to look at the World Championship standings, but there we go. 63 back, 58 available. I'll be honest, heading into the season, I didn't think we'd make it this far in the World Championship hunt. But it looks like Cadillac will have to wait another year there. Looks like, to be honest now, unless Verstappen has a DNF in Vegas, it is probably going to be between him and Charles Leclerc by the time we get to Qatar for that season finale as well. Constructors-wise, though, Ferrari have pretty much guaranteed that as well now with 2 races to go. We do continue to close in the gap on McLaren. That gap now down to just 28 points. So, yeah, it's not bad, but of course helped by the fact they had a DNF this weekend, and Mercedes are only a further 29 behind. Williams get over the 100-point barrier as well, so a good job done by them. And yeah, Kick Sauber still ahead of VCARB with that all-important point. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready out in Vegas.